Our brains rely heavily on habits. They allow us to make decisions quickly and get through day-to-day life efficiently. Unfortunately, not all habits we have are good, and even worse, our brain is extremely good at holding on to those habits, even the ones we don't like. When we try to change a habit, our brain is forced to put a lot more effort into the routine it follows. Before, what might have come easily and without thinking about it now takes a lot of effort as our brain tries to first stop our old habit and then replace it with a new one. Now, while our brains are super capable and very powerful, they are also finite, and their ability to make decisions, especially good decisions, is something that can be drained and then left completely empty. All of those changes that we make to our routine take effort, and it takes a little effort here and a little effort there. Over time, what we're doing is we're taxing our brain's ability to make decisions until it completely runs out. And what we are left with is called decision-making fatigue. This is the idea that, again, our brain only has a finite ability to make decisions. When we run out, instead of making decisions, calculating costs, assessing the situation, and making wise choices, our brain does whatever feels good at that moment. If you've ever been up really late at night and binge ate everything in your pantry, you know what I'm talking about. It's not that we weren't strong enough or that we should have tried harder. It's that our brain got to the point where it was too exhausted to try. And that is why a lot of our worst decisions come late at night, after a really stressful day or a really stressful time period. It's not that we aren't capable. It's not that our brains are too weak. It's that they have run out of energy. We've exhausted the decision-making resource in our minds. And what we are left with is whatever feels right at that moment. This mandatory relapse into whatever feels good can be really disastrous for goal setting and goal achieving, because despite our best efforts, it's not really something we can change. However, there is hope. While decision-making fatigue happens to everyone, regardless of what time period of life you're in, what circumstances you're facing, there are some tips that you can use to combat it, to prepare your mind for it, and to get better at dealing with decision-making fatigue. So if that's something you're interested in, stick around. We're going to be going over 5 tips you can use to combat decision-making fatigue that you can start today. When we wake up in the morning, our brains are full of energy. That's why it's easiest in the morning to decide to do a workout, to cook yourself a healthy breakfast, to get things done and be efficient. Even if you're not a morning person, your brain is still more capable right when it wakes up because it's rested all night and it's ready to make decisions. But as the day goes on, the more decisions we make, the less energy our brain has left. That's why around lunchtime we might start feeling tired. Dinner time, we might eat a little more food than we had planned to. We might skip a workout if we save it till late at night, or we just decide to binge watch TV instead of getting our leftover work done. All of those things happen because our brain has reached a point where it is no longer able to make good decisions. We've gotten so tired and exhausted throughout our day that our brain just needs to relax. And so we watch that TV, we eat that junk food, we talk and socialize instead of being productive and getting things done. But there are things we can do to improve the muscles in our mind that are responsible for decision making. Our brains are hardwired to pick the easiest option, but there is a way to change that with something called self-discipline. Translated and explained easily, it's just the ability to discipline yourself. Now, I know discipline has a somewhat negative connotation, and a lot of people view it as synonymous with the word punishment. But discipline is actually a very, very different idea. If you look it up in the dictionary, it's defined as the ability to train someone to follow a code of laws. Self-discipline then is just training yourself to follow a code of laws, laws that you establish. And those laws are better known as goals. When you are disciplining yourself and following self-discipline, all you're doing is training your body and mind to follow the goals and the procedures you have put in place, regardless of the feelings attached. So you can see how this would be very good, especially when we are facing decision-making fatigue. If we don't have to make a decision because we have just trained ourselves to follow our procedures, we do not have to face decision-making fatigue as early or as often. Self-discipline is an extremely important trait to have, and like any muscle, it's something that can be strengthened over time. And it is our best chance of combating decision-making fatigue. Okay, the first step is just to start at your level. If you were training for a new fitness program, you wouldn't just start out at the level you wanted to end at because you're not ready for that yet. If you've never run a day in your life, your first workout's not going to be to run a marathon because that would be too taxing on your body. It would discourage you, it would exhaust you, and it could be dangerous to you. So when we're trying to make decisions and we're trying to improve our self-discipline, don't do the same thing to your mind. Don't start by changing everything at once because all that's going to do is exhaust you. Instead, start at the level you're at. Find a goal, no matter how small, that you think at this point and with the skills you have right now that you can achieve. Stick with it, even if it's small, and work at it consistently until you, again, are strong enough to do it regularly. When you're getting good at that small goal that you set, begin step 2, and that's to work yourself up to harder goals. Once again, going back to our fitness example, you're not just going to dump yourself into a harder program. And similarly, you're not going to stay at a super easy program even when you are strong enough to complete it without any difficulty. Our brains and our bodies need to be challenged. If you're not challenged, you're not growing, you're not improving. That challenge needs to be at a level you're capable of, but you and your level of difficulty should be increasing. Once you find that it's easy for you to achieve that goal you've set, start building yourself up to a harder one. There are 2 ways you can do this. The first is by picking another goal and adding it on. And now you're doing twice as many goals as you might have done last time. So that in itself, just the quantity of goals, will add another layer of difficulty. The second way you can increase the difficulty of your goal setting is the quality of that goal. Maybe do it for longer periods of time, more regularly throughout the week, more consistently. That's another way to make this goal harder for you. Again, make sure you take your level into consideration, but always be finding a way to improve yourself, improve your goals. That way you are building up and strengthening your self-discipline. Another point on this, no matter how good you think you are, I promise there's always a way you can improve. Take a look and just contemplate on the goals that you have set for yourself. See if there's a way to make it a little more challenging. I think that you will be amazed at how many different ways we can find to improve ourselves and our lives. And more importantly, it's important to remember that this process of challenging ourselves is what is going to grow our self-discipline. It's what is going to help us combat decision-making fatigue. So no matter how good you think you are, there's room for growth, and I encourage you to find it and use these tips. The 2 tricks I gave you for growing, building up your level of difficulty to level up in a goal you've set, and keep strengthening those muscles so you'll be ready when decision-making fatigue is starting to hit. Step 3 is a super, super, super important motto to remember. Something will always be better than nothing. Even if you feel exhausted and you know you don't have the time or the energy for a super challenging or long goal, do something small, just a little something to work yourself closer to where you were. No matter how much you did that day, how badly things went, how tired you are, just a tiny, tiny, tiny step towards your goals will make you feel better And even though it seems small, it is still improving your ability and your self-discipline because you're doing it even though it's difficult. When it comes to building long-lasting habits, there's no such thing as too small. Even if you're exhausted and you can't do a full workout, just 5 push-ups is still something, and it's still getting you closer. Even if you had a horrible day, you ate everything in sight, a healthy dinner can still make a difference. Not in your ultimate goal, but it does make a difference in your mindset. And that's the most important part, because once you change your mindset, you will change your life. So just remember, keep working at those goals. There's no such thing as too small, and just a little something is better than nothing. Keep on working towards your goals, even when it's difficult. And through that process and through building that self-discipline, you're gonna see results over time. Step 4 is to reset yourself. There are going to be days when you fail. Goal setting is hard and nobody is perfect. You're gonna fall short, you're gonna miss a day, you're gonna fail. But the all or nothing mindset is the most dangerous thing you can have when you're trying to set goals and build your self-discipline. Every day is a fresh start when it comes to your goals. Just because you failed yesterday does not mean you're a failure. It means that you have tomorrow to start again. By realizing that and keeping that mindset fresh in your mind, you can keep working at it even when you fall short some days. And that's the most important part, because it's consistency that matters most. So even when you fall short, remember, just reset yourself, contemplate on how that day went, what you did wrong, what you did right, what you wish you had changed, and then bring those thoughts and those reflections into the next day and into the activities you do in the future. Never beat yourself up over your failures. Just use them as opportunities to grow and to do better next time. And finally, schedule cheat days. You're still going to face decision-making fatigue. There's still going to be times where you fall short. There's still going to be times where you're drained and exhausted. Give yourself a day to reset. Allow yourself with opportunities to relax and just enjoy life without constantly stressing about all of your goals, what you have to achieve, and what you haven't done yet. We need to take some time to just relax. Otherwise, when we face decision-making fatigue, it will be so much worse. Remember, your self-discipline is strong, but it is still finite. Your willpower, all of that is an inexhaustible resource. And so by giving yourself a cheat day to reset and to relax, what you're doing also is you're allowing your mind to strengthen back up again. Just like after a challenging workout, there are rest days. It's the same process with our minds. You have to have a time where your brain can rest and can reset and can strengthen itself and build itself back up after what you have just done with those goals that you've been setting. And again, when you take these days, don't just binge eat everything in sight, but take a little bit of enjoyment. Find ways to really cherish the moments you're in, to relax, to do things that make you happy without beating yourself up about those goals. Just don't let yourself be consumed by goal setting. It's a part of your life, and it's good and important to build those muscles, but don't let them control you or the life that you're living. I really hope that you enjoyed these 5 steps. Start using them today. It doesn't matter what level you're at, where you are, what you think you're capable of. Start something. Remember, it's always better just to begin and fail than to have never tried at all. Pick 1 or 2 of these, pick all of them if you'd like, and just start building yourself up to the process of setting and achieving goals. Strengthen that self-discipline. Train your body and your mind to follow your procedures and goals even when it doesn't want to. That process is going to be so helpful in achieving future goals that you set and combating decision-making fatigue. I really hope you use these tips, and I really hope they make a difference in your life. I know they've definitely done that for me. Thank you so much for watching my video. Again, I wish you the best of luck. You can do this, and I'm excited to see how it goes for you. See you next week.